friends, I thought I'd have my cup of coffee with you this morning and kind of catch you guys up on what's been going on in our family. Today is Monday, January 15th, and on Friday, January 5th, so 10 days ago, is that right? Yeah, 10 days ago, Scott came home from work. He actually messaged me from work and said that there was a bad flu bug going around and 3 of his fellow workers had left work early, and that he had a cough, that Scott had a cough. And I didn't really think anything of it too much because over Thanksgiving he had a really bad cold that lasted a really long time, and he still was coughing from that on occasion. It wasn't a bad cough, but he was coughing. Well, Olivia had plans to go to her cousin's house that night and spend the night, and the weather was terrible, the roads were bad, and I hate driving in snowy weather. So I told Olivia that when her dad got home from work, he would drive her to her cousin's house. Excuse me. You're going to hear that a lot in this chat. And we were also out of animal food, so we were going to go into town and pick up some animal feed after we dropped her off at her cousin's house. So when Scott got home, I could kind of tell he just wasn't feeling the greatest, and he was coughing. Let me get my sip. But he went ahead, and I went with him, and we took Olivia to her cousin's house. And in Indiana, we have what's called lake effect snow, and it's where the snow comes down in bands off of Lake Michigan, and you never know where it's going to hit. And even though her cousin only lives like 10 or 12 miles from our house, it wasn't snowing here, but it was like almost blizzard conditions over by her cousin's house. So I was so glad that Scott drove because it was pretty hairy. So anyway, we took Olivia to Lydia's house, and then we went into town to get feed for the animals. And we had to stop at Walmart, pick up a prescription and a few other things. And while we were in town, he got chilled, which it was really cold. So, you know, it could have meant he was just really cold or whatever. But it was kind of unusual. He usually doesn't, you know, that doesn't usually happen. And by the time we got home, his face was all flushed, and he just really felt terrible. So on Saturday, he couldn't even hardly get out of the bed. He was just down, really sick. Had a fever of 101.9, and just felt terrible. And so I presume taking care of everything. Olivia wasn't home, so Travis and I did all of the outside chores, and I put on a big old pot of homemade chicken soup, and I started breaking the Lysol out and the Lysol wipes, and I wiped down everything, all of the remotes, all the doorknobs, anywhere that Scott was, I wiped down or sprayed with Lysol, and he pretty much just stayed in bed. And then later that evening, Olivia came home. I started noticing that I was coughing a little bit, but I felt fine, and I thought, well, you know, I have sinus drainage and lots of sinus issues, and so it's just allergy related. Well, Sunday morning, it had been decided that we weren't going to go to church. Scott was still very sick, and the weather was terrible, and by the time the kids and I got chores done, we would have been late for church anyway, and so we just decided to stay home. And as the day progressed, I kept getting this cough that just kept coming more and more and more. And I started getting a bad headache right here. And I still thought, oh, it's probably just allergies or sinuses, the weather, whatever. Well, Sunday evening, I was sitting at my computer watching some YouTube, and the first chill hit me. And I got chilled. And I thought, uh-oh. Well, that was it. That was, as soon as that first chill hit, I started feeling horrible, and that was the beginning of the end for me. I slept terrible that night, couldn't get comfortable, just felt lousy. Monday, I crawled into bed, and because I stayed out in the chair in the living room, because Scott was still not feeling well, and I don't know why I just didn't go straight to bed, but I just stayed in the chair. And but Monday morning I crawled into bed, and Scott had stayed home because he still was not feeling well. And the next couple of days is basically a blur to me, because I had a fever and body aches, and the sleep that hits you, it's almost like a coma, where it's like you don't have a choice. I mean, you're out. Even if you want to stay awake, you don't. And it's dreamless, and it's just a very real, surreal feeling. Olivia said it felt to her like she was delusional. And so Monday I was in bed, and Scott was still not well. And so the kids were in charge, and they took care of all of the animals. Olivia cooked supper, and I basically didn't have a clue what was going on, and didn't really care, honestly. So then Tuesday morning, Scott went to work, and I'm going to take another sip. I was still really sick. I knew I was not going to be able to function. I was not going to be able to do chores. I was not going to be able to do anything. And so Olivia came in my bedroom, and no, actually Travis got up first, and I could hear him coughing. And I called him. Well, actually, no, I didn't call him because I lost my voice. He walked past my bedroom door, and I motioned for him to come in. And I croaked out, "How are you feeling?" And he's like, didn't look good. And he says, "I don't feel good. I think I've got it." And so Olivia got up, and she came in the bedroom. She was still okay, but she said, "Mom, when I was cooking dinner last night, I started having a cough." So I took Travis's temperature, and it was 101. Olivia took his temperature. It was 101. Olivia took her own temperature, and she didn't have a fever yet. And I said, "You're going to need to call your dad," because there was no way Olivia would be able to do all the chores by herself. And so she called her dad, and he came home early, and he did all the chores when he got home, because by that time Olivia was in bed with a fever. Travis's fever spiked to 102.2. I really don't know what Olivia's fever, her highest temp was, because I was in no condition to take her temperature. And that was pretty much the beginning of poor Scott having to deal with everything on his own, and he was still sick. He really shouldn't have even gone to work Tuesday. And the time frame is all kind of blurred together. But I wrote a blog post about the flu epidemic, and it has more of the details of how I remember. I wrote it down while I still was fresh in my memory. So if you want to go over to there and read more about our experience with the flu, I will leave a link to my blog in the description box below. He did the chores all by himself Tuesday and Wednesday. Took care of 3 people that were sick. He was still sick himself. He had to run to the store and get more cold medicine, flu medicine, and certain things that he needed so that he wouldn't starve to death. And because, none of us felt like eating except Scott. He needed to eat to keep up his strength. So he picked up things that the kids might be interested in eating and that were easy to fix. So he did that. And it was just horrible. I don't know how, I can't remember exactly how everything went after that. I do know Thursday he did go back to work, only because we really can't afford for him to miss an entire week of work. And he got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and put a headlight on his head and went out and did chores before he went to work, because he knew that none of us were going to be capable of doing it. By Friday, I was able to spend more time up out of the bed. My appetite was starting to come back, but even to this day, it's still not back 100%. And things still don't taste quite right. I don't know, it's hard to explain it. Something maybe sounds good, like you like, ooh, I'd like to eat that, and then when you take a bite, you're like, ooh, it doesn't taste good. So that was part of the whole, nobody threw up ever or anything like that, but it was just an absolute miserable week. And none of us are completely over it yet. But mostly we have a bad lingering cough. Travis's fever spiked up again yesterday to 100, which that was kind of, he had a little minor relapse. But you know, Scott's at work today and we have to do chores, and it's snowing. That's why I keep looking out the window. This is a terrible flu year. Apparently the flu has already taken 22 lives just since the first of the year. That was the last count I heard. I've heard this is the worst flu epidemic in 15 years. And I've never experienced anything like this. I've never been as sick as I was, and I've never had it where my entire family was down. My dad, I didn't want him around it. My brother, who lives with my dad, had a heart attack in December, and so he couldn't help. And my sister has asthma, and so she couldn't help. And so we were really up a creek without a paddle there for a few days. And I'm just very thankful that my husband is the type of person that will push through anything to do what needs to be done. And I just want to encourage you guys to take care of your neighbors. If you hear of a neighbor, friend, family who's been struck with the flu, call them and find out, can I bring you something to eat? Can I set it on your front step? You know, don't infect yourself. Don't take unnecessary risks. But if they have outside animals, can I come and do your chores for you? You know, but by Wednesday, we didn't really care who did our chores or how they got done, as long as the animals got fed and watered, you know. So it's not like, oh, I don't know how you do your chores. That doesn't matter. When someone is as sick as we were, just knowing that someone else would take care of it would have been nice. But God took care of us, and we made it through it, and thank God none of us died, and thank God my dad and my brother and my sister, who all have compromised immune systems, I didn't infect them. Also, I'm going to insert a clip here of what my house looks like after me spending almost a week in bed. It's actually better now, because over the weekend, it took me the entire weekend because I still didn't have any energy. I was able to take all my Christmas decorations down, and this footage is a couple of days ago, before I took the Christmas decorations down. So you'll still see Christmas decorations up, but here's a clip of what my house looked like the first day I was able to drag myself out of bed. I've got a lot of cleaning to do. But you know what? My poor husband, he did the best he could, and I am not going to complain about the house being out of sorts. Also, I was so thankful that had been able to do a bunch of videos up ahead of time, so that you guys still got 3 videos last week. Although you got it on Thursday and Friday instead of Wednesday and Friday, because Wednesday I was just not. Tuesday and Wednesday I was not in any kind of shape to be doing anything on the computer. So basically I just, that video you saw Thursday, I just uploaded it and hit publish. I didn't do anything more to it than that. But I was really thankful that I had those videos in my queue ready to go, or else you guys wouldn't have had any videos last week. I am behind on my decluttering challenge. I need to get going on that. I had so much planned to do last week that had totally got put on hold, so I feel like I'm running a week behind, which I am running a week behind. So that's going to be a lot of decluttering videos that I need, or decluttering clips that I need to get done this week to get caught up on that. Oh, one other thing. If you are a subscriber to Kim from Hancock Homestead and Gardens, she's on my Facebook friends list, and she asked me to put out there to her subscribers an announcement about her channel. She currently does not have a computer, so she's unable to comment or reply to comments or put up any new content right now. So she just wanted to let you know that she hasn't dropped off the face of the earth, but she's just having issues with her computer right now, and she will get back to videos as soon as she can. As far as the weather goes, we did have a warm-up last week while we were in bed, of course, but I was kind of glad it was last week because it did make things just a little bit easier on Scott. But all of the snow melted away, and it was clear down to bare ground, and we actually had a day when it was up in the 50s. And then the very next day it plummeted back down into the 20s, and let me show you what it looks like outside right now. And the snow is back. Still haven't gone out to do chores yet this morning. I try to let the kids sleep in a little bit later because they're still not feeling the greatest. But we got to get out there and get these chores done. So anyway, that was my video for today. I just wanted to have a little chat and let you know what's been going on with me. I do plan to start doing videos, like I said, and get things caught up, but I can't tell you how long all of this is going to be in my head and in my throat. So things may sound funny for the rest of the month of January. I don't know. Thanks a lot for watching and being such loyal subscribers, and I know for a fact that if any of you had lived close by, you would have come to help us while we were really sick. Stay well, because this is a really bad situation this year with the flu. Thanks a lot for watching, friends, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.